All right, so here we go. In the last section, we created our React application. And so now let's start up the application. And I'm going to go inside of my project directory and I will say npm start. And then I'm going to open up my code editor. And inside of it, I am going to open up our newly created React application, React Router. Okay, so the last thing for setting up our app, we're going to add semantic UI library to our app. That's what we usually do, right? So I'm going to open up a new browser and tap and navigate to semantic UI CDN. And we're going to search for semantic.min.css. And then right there, I am going to copy this link and put it inside of our index.html file. So I'm going to open up my index.html file inside the public folder. And I will put a link tag after this link element and paste it inside of this href attribute. And again, remember to close that link. Okay, so now I'm going to open up my src folder. And now we've got all the default files inside the source folder right here. And of course, I'm going to delete all of them except the app.js and index.js file. Because we already learned how to set up the React application, and we've done it a couple of times already, so let's quickly put together some code to better understand this React router. So I'll get rid of all this stuff inside this div right here, and I will say app inside of it. And I will get rid of this import statement. And let's save it and look at the browser to see if it's working. Sure enough, it seems everything's working okay. So now I'd like to demonstrate the React router for you. To do that, just going to need a few different pages. So I'm going to very quickly mock up 3 components. One for the About page, one for the Home page, and one for a Contact page. And this third page is going to have some really basic content. So we'll have a few different components, and I don't want to create them all in this directory right here. So instead, I'll create a new folder, and I will put my components inside of it. And we're going to call it components, like so. And I'm going to use this kind of structure because the more your applications grow, you will need this kind of structure. So you may use different folders for your components. We'll just keep all of them inside of here. Now we'll create a new file, and I'm just going to call it home.js. All right, so this is going to be a functional component because we won't be using states. I need to import the React library from React. And then down below, I'm going to create a functional component. And I will say const home is equal to an arrow function. And inside that function, we're going to return some JSX. Okay, so in here, we'll do a div, and this is going to have a class of UI raised very padded text container segment. This is a semantic UI CSS class, and it's going to keep our content with a central column on the page. I'm also going to give it an inline style of margin top 80 pixels. And inside of this div, I'll do H 3 tag, and this is going to have a class name of UI header, and it's going to say home inside of it. Now, underneath of it, I'll just do a P tag, and then I'm going to put some text inside of here. Let's export the function down here. I'll say exports default home. Cool, so we've done that component. Now let's save it. So now I'm going to copy all of that, and I'm going to paste it inside another file that I created called about.js, like so. And then I'm going to select this home, and I'm going to change all those to abouts. All right? Okay, so if you don't know how to select multiple elements, I can show you. I selected this one, and then I just hit Command or Control D, just like this. All right. Love shortcuts. So now we have an about component, same as the home component. We're just changing the text right here in the H3. And the name of the function and the thing we export. But everything else can remain the same. So save all that, and we'll do one more new file. We'll call this contact.js, and paste that in again. Select this, and change all the occurrences of home to contact, like so. Yeah, that's it. So we now have 3 components here, and these are the 3 components that represent our 3 pages in the application. So if someone goes to /, we will load the home component. If someone says /about, we will load the about component. Yeah? So we have all those now, but we need to link them. Now to do this, I'm going to create a navbar and then set up the React router. So I'm going to create another component here, and this is going to be called navbar.js. All right. So again, this component doesn't need state, so we'll just make it a functional component. And at the top of here, I will say import React from React. And then underneath it, I will create the function component. Const navbar, set that equal to an arrow function. And inside here, again, we'll just need to return some JSX. All right. So I'm going to say nav as the surrounding element. And this is going to have a class of UI raised very padded segment. And it's going to create some kind of wrapper. And inside of here, I'm going to put an anchor tag. And I'll give it a class of UI teal inverted segment. So it's basically just a kind of title in the navigation, yeah. So I'm going to take away the href for now because we don't need that here. And I will call it, so I'm going to change it to Gloria. You'll see. So then just underneath of it, I will put a div that has the class name of UI right floated header. Then inside of here, we'll put a button and give it the class name of UI button. And inside of this button, I will put an anchor tag again, and I will say href /. And then inside of here, I'm going to say home. So this button will now navigate us to the home page. So now I'm going to copy this line and multiply it 2 times. And I will change this to /about, and this as well. Change the next to contact, like so. All right, so now we just need to export this nav bar. So I will say export default, and then the nav bar. Awesome. So we've created that nav bar, and now I want to import that into the root component right here. So we can nest it inside the root component, and it displays on all pages. So I'm just going to import the nav bar from // and the components folder /navbar. So now we can just nest that right in here by saying navbar, like so. So if we save all this and go to the browser, we should be able to see that navbar at the top of the screen. We have Gloria here, and we have these 3 links as well. Excellent. So now I want to set up the router so that when we click on one of these and we go to /about, we actually want to see the about component. Or if we go to /contact, we want to be able to see the contact component. So right now, even though we're just going to be able to see the URLs, we will not get the content on the screen. So that's why we need to install right now the React router. So I will open up my terminal, and I am going to open up a new tab in our project dictionary by saying cd react router. Then I'm going to say npm install react router DOM. Please make sure that you are in the correct directory. In this case, React router is my folder. And there is another alternative. You can always stop your currently running React server by hitting Control-C and then load up the npm install react router DOM package and then start your server again. All right. So now we are installing the React router DOM, and that is the package that allows us to set up the router inside of this application. So now let's import it in order to use it in our app. Now we're going to import a series of things. I'm going to say import and open up some curly braces. First thing we'll import is the browser router, like so. And this is going to be from React router DOM. Now we need to use it inside this application so that we can use the routes. So the way we do that is by surrounding our entire application inside the JSX with a browser router tag. Like that. Now we can add routes. So we want our routes to be inside this application, just loaded in below the navbar. So right here, this is where we can set them up. And to do so, we will need to import the route parameter down here. And let's set these routes up here. So I'll set up the first route, and I will say route. The path is going to be equal to /. And then the component that we want to load in for this is going to be the home component. So the React router doesn't know this home component. So we need to import it into this file. So we'll say import home from, and it's going to be ./components folder, then the home component. And there we have a route setup for the home component. So first we set up the browser router and wrapped the whole application. So this application can use routes. And then we're saying that we want the routes to be loaded in below the navbar. So grab the component for this route and load it in right here. And we say whenever a user goes to this route, /, then the React router is going to load up that home component. So if we save all this and go to the browser and check out the home page, then we can see we get the home component. But what happens if we go to the About page? We get the home component. And if we go to the Contact page, we get the home component again. All right, so of course we don't want that. We're going to want to load up the different routes for the different contents. So in order to do that, I'm going to just flip back over to my app component. And I'm going to copy this line and paste it just underneath. And in this case, a path is going to be /about. And this will load up that About component. And of course, we can do the same for the Contact page. And I say Contact component like so. Now let's import these two components as well. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it twice. And this is going to be the About component. And this one will be Contact. Okay, so that's good. Now let's save it and test it. So if we go to the home page, we get this. If we go to the About page, we get Home and About pages. And if we go to Contact, we get Home and Contact. So it's kind of strange behavior. Why do you reckon that we're getting the home content on every single URL? Okay, I'll let you know. The way the React router works is that it sees that we're still in a subset route of home. Okay? So if you look up at the URL bar right here, we still have present, right, in this, the /. And because it's present, the React router is saying, okay, it's a subset of this. And it shows both components on the browser. All right, so if we change this to the /home inside the app.js and do the same thing for the navbar component and save it. Okay. Now let's go to the Contact page, and we don't get that anymore because home is not part of this URL. So let's go to the About page and home page. Okay, so it looks like it's working now. So the reason we were getting the home component loaded in on the About and the Contact pages, because we were saying for it to look for any routes that is just / and then load it in. So now the Contact has that / within it, so it holds the home page. I know it's a little bit weird behavior, but this is the default behavior of the React router. So that means the way that we get around that is either by doing what we just did, by changing the link to home, but I can understand that you might not want to do that. So we'll change it back to just the / there, and we'll change this back to just / as well. And then the way that we can get around this is by saying, okay, make this an exact match. So the route has to be the exact path equal to /. Now, of course, /about is not exactly the same as /. So that means it won't load in the home component. So if we save this and flip back over to our browser, let's get to the contact page and about page, and then the home page. Okay, that's it. So we've set this up and we're getting the right components, but there is one issue here. You know what it is? Notice what happens very quickly on the page when we click on a link. It reloads the component and then sends it to the server. So we don't really want that, right? We don't need to make a request to the server every time and reload the page. We want to receive back the same index.html file. So before we get into all of that, why don't we take a break here and we'll look at how to dissect that in the next video.